Apparently, Meghan Markle is now on the cover of Harper's Bazaar. Okay, she's on the cover of Harper's Bazaar.
Meghan Markle, and to no one's surprise, it is the exact same stories and sound bites and tidbits.
And she's going, "Oh, what are you writing about?" I said, "Oh, she's giving this interview to Harper's Bazaar magazine."
Meghan Markle sold her soul to the devil to get a cover, not on Vogue, which is the one that she wanted, but on Harper's Bazaar. Oh, bizarre.
Let's stick with Meghan. She sat down with Harper's Bazaar for another tell-all interview. Kinsey for the cover.
That is just what's happened overnight with this extraordinary cover feature on Harper's Bazaar with Meghan Markle.
Harper's Bazaar was betting on a grand comeback. Meghan thought she was about to reclaim the spotlight, but the second that new cover dropped, something felt off. Not because of the clothes, not because of the lighting, but because the whole thing carried an odd energy. Like someone trying to sell a story that the world just wasn't buying anymore. The reaction wasn't loud, but it was cutting. Even Harper's Bazaar reportedly knew right away the cover wasn't hitting. Insiders whispered that it was one of their weakest releases in years, and Meghan, she never saw it coming. The quiet disappointment that followed said more than any caption or interview ever could.
Delusion on display. Meghan's new interview in Harper's Bazaar came out, and I want to talk about it, but we're not going to go through the whole thing.
We're going to dig into this one today because she is out there. She's a cover girl now for Harper's Bazaar.
The First Lady of Montecito, Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle interview. She is one of the most disliked known figures. She has nothing new going on.
I mean, she's seen that some of this no makeup, natural look is playing very well for some other famous women.
The thing about cameras is they don't lie, even when the subject tries to. Meghan came into that shoot with a mission: to look effortless, wise, like a woman who's faced chaos and come out glowing. But the final photos didn't carry that energy at all. The natural look seemed half done, not intentional. The soft lighting made her appear drained instead of peaceful, and her expressions, tight, forced, controlled. Every frame looked like she was overthinking it, trying to project rather than feel. There wasn't a single image where she looked free, not one where her face matched the supposed new chapter vibe of the shoot. The concept wasn't the issue. The disconnection was.
This woman looks rough, aged, and this is in spite of all the airbrushing they did.
By the magazine editor that wanted to turn you into a star, that in their cover feature...
All right, huge disclaimer. We are not reading the entire Bazaar article because it was bizarre. And honestly, Meghan Markle is just, let me think about it. Delulu with the capital D.
Did Meghan Markle just prove in her Harper's Bazaar interview?
Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, it's revealed in a new interview given to Harper Bazaar magazine.
When you are important, nobody needs to introduce you because they know who you are. But of course, Meghan Markle has to have somebody announce her using the colonialist title. I tried to make my hair as raggedy as possible to kind of match the Meghan Markle vibe.
The camera caught tension she probably didn't even know she was showing. That strain of trying too hard to prove something instead of simply existing in the moment. For someone who built her brand on being poised and self-assured, the images showed cracks in that confidence. For someone obsessed with perfect messaging, the photos revealed something deeper: uncertainty. What was supposed to be transformation looked more like repetition, a rerun of the same narrative dressed up as something new. And when people actually read the interview, that mismatch between her words and the photos became impossible to ignore.
Meghan Markle. Okay. She was British royalty. Meghan Markle was as high as you could get in British society and basically global society. I mean, we just saw they had a massive state dinner at Windsor Castle.
Harper's Bazaar isn't just a magazine. It's a full-blown machine. Sleek, strategic, and built on data that can predict a hit within minutes. When a cover works, it explodes. Shares skyrocket. Comments flood in. Fashion pages repost the shots. And publicists rush to send those "congrats, she did it again" emails. PR teams usually hold their breath in excitement, waiting for that viral spark. But this time, silence. Inside Bazaar's glossy headquarters, editors watched the rollout with growing dread. Engagement flatlined. Influencers stayed quiet.
It is the exact same stories and sound bites and tidbits that she has said at least 3 other times. There is not one single new anecdote in this interview, if you can believe it. I have read it skimmed over it very quickly.
No one was calling the shoot bold, daring, or original. The cover didn't trend, it sank. Slowly but clearly, the numbers started dropping, and every experienced eye in the room knew what that meant. The message missed completely, and they knew it wasn't technical. The colors were fine, the layout was sharp, and Meghan's name still carried buzz. But something deeper was off.
The Duchess of Sussex! Someone in the scrum announces. And those flippers, I mean, how can a woman who is 5'2" have such big feet?
The mood of the photos didn't feel real, and audiences picked up on that instantly. Behind the scenes, nervous meetings began. Cautious, polite, full of coded language that everyone in media knows too well. Maybe the tone wasn't strong enough. Maybe the direction needed another layer. Translation? This didn't work. As the industry whispered about the flop, Meghan faced something even worse, the part of the project she thought would save her. The interview. And that's where the real damage hit. The text exposed what the photos had only hinted at.
Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, even though we appear to be the only two people in the house.
A woman detached from her own message. No amount of lighting or styling could cover that gap. Because Meghan didn't say anything wild or scandalous, it was how she said it. Her words came out like a press release, not a heartbeat. Perfectly polished, endlessly edited, with not a single moment that felt human. Every answer sounded pre-approved, like a carefully wrapped gift with nothing inside. She spoke about boundaries, growth, self-care, peace, all the right topics, all the buzzwords, but it felt rehearsed, like something designed for applause instead of truth. People weren't buying it because her life right now doesn't reflect someone guarding her peace. It reflects someone guarding her image.
Meghan is in her natural habitat. This is what she wanted. The cameras, the curated lighting, the oversized ego. Her entire existence here is exactly what she curated.
Meghan's public life doesn't match her private claims. Her appearances, her speeches, the constant spotlight. None of it reflects someone stepping away from fame. That gap between what she says and what she does creates a tension so sharp even Harper's Bazaar couldn't edit it out. When she spoke about healing and transformation, it sounded nice on paper, but the words carried no real pulse. Elegant, yes, but hollow. Like she was describing a version of herself that only exists in headlines, not reality.
She's announced as the Duchess of Sussex when she walks in. Like, even the author, who is very generous to Meghan throughout this article, is like, that's weird.
The issue wasn't her vocabulary, it was the performance. Meghan has this signature tone she switches into whenever she wants to sound profound. Slow, steady, poetic. Like every sentence is crafted to hit deep, but instead of emotional, it came off mechanical. Instead of wise, it felt staged. Instead of genuine, it felt like she was shielding her image, not sharing her truth. That disconnect cracked the door open to the part of the interview that truly changed everything. A section Meghan likely thought would make her look strong, grounded, maybe even inspiring. But it ended up revealing more than she ever planned to show. Because the second Harry's name entered the conversation, everything shifted. Up to that point, she'd been polished, rehearsed, predictable.
This is who Harper's Bazaar thought would be the right person to profile Meghan Markle.
The same themes about growth and peace and boundaries. But once she started talking about him, something slipped. The tone softened, but not in the way people expected. She didn't talk about Harry like someone describing their partner with warmth or affection. She talked about him like a character in her story, a role he fills, a purpose he serves. Every word revolved around what he does for her, how he protects her, how he absorbs the backlash, how he sees the threats she doesn't. It wasn't partnership, it was dependency. She said he supports her more than anyone ever has, but the phrasing didn't sound romantic. It sounded transactional, like someone explaining how another person keeps them functioning under pressure. And while Meghan probably meant it as praise, to the audience it read differently. Like a glimpse behind the curtain she didn't mean to lift. It wasn't dramatic. It was quietly unsettling.
Meghan on the cover of Harper's, I'm just gonna say it, she doesn't look good. She looks sad. She's makeupless, which I'm sorry, but it's not good. She needs some eyeliner. The eyes are too close together and she looks forlorn. I didn't actually ever realize how much work that eyeliner is doing on her. And here's just a little bit from the cover piece.
The kind of one-sided energy you only catch when you slow down and really read her words. Meghan never spoke about what she admires in Harry, never mentioned what she gives back, never hinted at what makes their bond feel like a true partnership. Every sentence circled around what he provides, what he shields her from. And that's where things started to feel tense. Because Harry has always been open about his mental weight, the stress, the press, the constant scrutiny. He's emotional, reactive, vulnerable in ways most people wouldn't admit so publicly. So when Meghan described his habit of monitoring media as something helpful, it painted a picture she likely didn't mean to draw. It made him sound like the emotional sponge, soaking up every bit of pressure so she doesn't have to.
On Bravo, what do you feel about Meghan Markle copying you? And so Pamela, as you know, has gone barefaced over the last few years, and it's gotten her a lot of positive attention.
She unintentionally revealed a dynamic that didn't fit the power couple image her team keeps selling. The moment readers picked up on that imbalance, the energy of the interview shifted completely. It stopped feeling inspirational and started to feel uneasy, like watching a performance that suddenly slips out of rhythm. But that wasn't even the moment that broke the illusion. That came later, quietly, almost accidentally, in one single bizarre detail that said more than all the glossy quotes combined.
Here from Harper's Bazaar, courtesy of TRG The Royal Grift on X. And here, the Harper's Bazaar article says, her circle of trust is tight. So Meg's circle of trust is tight, guys. She puts her hand on her heart. This way. Yeah. Puts her hand on her heart when she talks about her husband.
And it didn't happen during the shoot or the Q&A. It happened in the setting itself. The interview took place inside a cozy New York brownstone. Not a studio, not a five-star suite, just a regular home. A calm space where people usually unwind, kick off their shoes, and drop the act. For anyone else, it would have been unremarkable. But for Meghan, it became the loudest truth of all. When the journalist arrived, everything was calm. No flashing cameras, no assistants buzzing around, no chaos. Just a few people in the room, soft daylight, and the gentle hum of an ordinary afternoon. Then Meghan entered. And instead of walking in naturally, something strange happened. Someone announced her, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, out loud, in a living room, with only two people there.
I think my boundaries have become stronger. You find different ways to protect yourself. She's talking about with the fame and all the spotlight. Here's what she has to say about Harry. He loves me so boldly, so fully, and he has a different perspective because he sees media that I wouldn't. No one in the world loves me.
No red carpet, no audience, no need. Just that royal formality dropped into a casual space like a scene from another life. It was such a small thing, barely a blip, but it shifted everything. That single moment exposed what the entire interview kept skirting around. Meghan hasn't truly let go of the title she swore she'd left behind. It wasn't about arrogance or ego. It was about need. The need for ritual, for recognition, for that subtle feeling of importance that doesn't quite exist in California. And in that quiet brownstone, the truth echoed louder than any headline ever could. That tiny moment, that one formal announcement in a quiet New York living room, explained everything.
She puts her hand on her heart when she talks about her husband. He loves me so boldly, fully, and he also has a different perspective because he sees media that I wouldn't. No one in the world loves me more than him. So I know he's always going to make sure that he has my back.
The photo shoot's tension, the stiff smiles, the over-rehearsed tone of the interview, it all suddenly made sense. It wasn't transformation, it was preservation. Meghan wasn't reinventing herself. She was clinging to an identity that's been slipping through her fingers ever since she left the UK. And the strangest part? She didn't even seem to realize how revealing that moment was. Those 5 words, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, carried a weight she didn't anticipate. They echoed awkwardly in that calm, ordinary space, and readers felt it instantly. It was the kind of subtle detail that burns into your memory because it exposes more truth than 100 glossy pages ever could. A duchess without a royal life, a title without a kingdom, a performance without an audience. Once people noticed that, everything else in the article started to shift. The tone, the quotes, even the photos. Suddenly, it wasn't a story of empowerment or growth. It was a portrait of someone stuck, someone still gripping the past, even while pretending to move forward. By the time readers reached the final line, it was painfully clear.
Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, even though we appear to be the only other 2 people in the house. And we thought the constant monogramming of everything with her initials was bad.
The problem wasn't the styling or the lighting, or even that awkward announcement. It was the feeling that Meghan is trapped between 2 worlds, belonging fully to neither. On one side, she still wants the elegance and authority that comes with royalty. The symbolism, the reverence, the sense of being untouchable. That title isn't just a formality to her, it's a lifeline, a reminder of who she was and who she wants people to believe she still is. But on the other side, she's chasing the freedom of Hollywood, the glamour, the invitations, the endless brand deals, the glow of red carpets and private jets. She walked away from the palace because she wanted freedom from rules, duties, expectations. Yet she hasn't truly embraced Hollywood either. Instead, she's hovering between the two, trying to merge identities that were never meant to coexist. And that's why the Harper's Bazaar cover fell apart. Not because of poor styling, not because the photographer missed the mark, and not because Meghan didn't try hard enough. It failed because the story she's trying to tell no longer matches the woman the world sees in the pictures.
She wants to feel important. She loves feeling important. That's why she loves having that Duchess of Sussex title. Because nobody else, you and I can't get that unless we go and marry off somebody. But she has it.
Hollywood runs on reinvention. It's about shedding old layers, evolving, becoming something new. But Meghan's Harper's Bazaar moment wasn't that. It wasn't rebirth. It was nostalgia wrapped in designer fabric. Every glance, every pose, every carefully practiced expression felt chained to the past, like she was trying to breathe life back into an image that doesn't fit anymore. And the audience sensed it instantly. No explanation needed. People can always tell when something's off. It's in the stiffness of a smile.
And hold on, I have a picture of exactly how I want it to look like. And she shows the photo of her mother-in-law.
The hesitation in a gaze, the overly perfect tone of a quote. Meghan's entire presence felt torn between holding on and letting go, between being the Duchess and the brand. She wasn't stepping forward, she was staring backward. And here's the thing, it wasn't villainous or scandalous. It was sad. Because beneath the glamour, the wardrobe, the perfectly framed interviews, there's a woman trying to fuse two lives that simply can't coexist. That's what made the Harper's Bazaar cover sting. Not the editorial flop, but the realization that the world didn't buy it this time. Not because Meghan can't make a comeback, but because she no longer seems sure who she's trying to be. That quiet confusion spread fast, not as outrage, but as fatigue.
I don't know how any woman could see a young girl and not see herself in her, especially at that age, Meghan tells me later. Once again, Meghan Markle makes everything about herself.
A collective sigh from people who've seen this performance too many times before. There's a difference between being annoyed with a celebrity and being tired of one. Annoyance fades, fatigue lingers. And what Meghan faced after this release wasn't backlash. It was that heavy, unspoken exhaustion that settles when the public has stopped believing in your evolution. No curiosity, no buzz, no spark, just silence. The worst response anyone in Hollywood can get. People didn't see reinvention, they saw repetition. Meghan gave the world the same story she's been selling for years: transformation, growth, renewal. But reinvention only works when it's real.
She's trying to do this photo shoot that's just as glamorous, just as pretentious as all the rest, especially with somebody there whose job specifically.
When there's visible change, emotional truth, something new to hold on to, and nothing about this photo shoot suggested she'd turned a corner. Nothing hinted at discovery, healing, or a grounded new identity. Instead, it felt like watching someone trying to reopen a chapter that's already ended. The lights were still on, the cameras were still rolling. But the magic? Gone. The performance? Predictable. The energy? Fading. And as the curtain quietly closed, the audience didn't boo. They just stopped watching. Instead of transformation, it felt like déjà vu. Meghan was recycling the same storyline. Misunderstood, mistreated, rising stronger than ever.
Meghan throughout this piece. There's also at the very end, she says Meghan is remarkably at ease with the surrealism of global celebrity. In fact, she seems to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a bit.
But people can't believe in a comeback when they've never seen the fall. They can't believe in transformation when every public appearance feels like the same carefully choreographed act. That's why the backlash hit harder this time. Not because of the photos, not because of the interview, not even because of that awkward title announcement in the brownstone. It hit because the public finally hit their limit. They didn't want another glossy chapter of the same story.
You might be looking at Meghan Markle saying, well, she's in Harper's Bazaar, she's in a big magazine. Sweetie, this is a major downgrade from being British royalty.
They wanted something real, and this cover, without meaning to, exposed just how far Meghan still is from giving them that. For years, her PR machine has moved like clockwork, believing every project could be spun into something iconic with just the right visuals, the right words, the right message. But public perception doesn't bend forever. Eventually, people get tired of the script, especially when the person delivering it refuses to step out of character.
We're in a grand brownstone to the Upper East Side that belongs to one of Meghan's friends. When I enter, the house manager announces, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, even though we appear to be the only other two people in the house.
And this time, instead of mixed reactions or divided opinions, there was one clear collective response. This just isn't working anymore. What no one, not even Meghan, expected was that this single cover would reveal something much deeper than a bad rollout. It showed what happens when someone keeps trying to build a new identity on top of one they've never truly let go of. The Harper's Bazaar cover didn't fail because of styling or direction. It failed because it exposed the truth, a woman caught between worlds, holding on to a story that doesn't feel real anymore. Until she decides who she truly is, moments like this will keep repeating louder each time. If you want more sharp, behind-the-scenes breakdowns like this, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for the next deep dive, because this story is far from over.